Hello and welcome to The Plant-Powered Celiac. This channel is all about gluten-free, plant-based health and wellness. I'm Hayley, I'm a mum and a wife, and almost 20 years ago I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, celiac disease, as well as irritable bowel syndrome. I was in my mid to late teens when I received the diagnosis, and at the time I struggled with a cripplingly long list of health challenges. Those were things like anxiety and depression, chronic constipation, really chronic. I also struggled with bloating and cramping, painful dermatitis, skin rashes. It was on my hands, it was on my arms, it was on my legs, it was on my lips. It was so painful and uncomfortable. I also struggled for a long time with refined food addiction and binge eating and binge restrict eating. I had terrible brain fog, a really tough time concentrating. I also struggled with insomnia and difficulty falling asleep. And as you might imagine, after this very long list, very low self-esteem. After living like this for over 2 years, I met my then future husband and was inspired to make the commitment to completely remove gluten from my diet for life. But I continued to eat quite a standard Western diet. It had maybe more fruit and vegetables than a typical standard Western diet, but it still included a lot of packaged processed foods, animal products, dairy products, refined sugars, and I continued to struggle with a lot of those things on that list for the next 10 to 15 years. And then about 6 years ago, I came across a vegan diet for the first time. I had reached a point where I was just fed up with the bloating and the pain and the binge restrict cycle and a lot of things that I was stuck in for a long time. So I decided to run an experiment with it for about 5 weeks, fully expecting to go back to my old way of eating. But after that 5-week experiment, I felt so good. I couldn't believe it, and there was absolutely no way that I was going to go back to my old way of eating. So I continued with my vegan diet for another year until I found a whole foods, plant-based diet. And that was a true turning point for the better in my health. I have continued to eat a whole foods plant-based diet for the last 5 years, being plant-based for 6 years in total now. And it has been the best decision that I have ever made for my health. It has allowed me to overcome so many of those challenges, to heal a lot of symptoms physically, and I feel so much better for making the switch to eating more whole plant foods. And so I'm here today to share my experiences with you to help you overcome your health challenges. I am certified in plant-based nutrition through the T. Colin Campbell Center of Nutrition Studies, as well as in wellness and health coaching. But I also have almost 20 years experience of having been diagnosed with celiac disease and eating a plant-based diet for the past 6 years. So I'm excited to share what I have learned with you. And today I'm going to be sharing my top 6 reasons why eating more whole plant foods will improve your overall health and well-being. I believe that you are here for a purpose. And having greater health and vitality allows us to feel that purpose and to have joy in our life, to move without pain, to not be consumed by sickness or disease, and to live life with a more positive outlook. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to start by clarifying what are whole plant foods. Whole plant foods are foods that are as close to their natural state as possible. These include whole and unprocessed fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, avocados, beans, and potatoes. A whole foods plant-based diet typically removes all refined oils, refined sugars, processed packaged foods, low on salt, high on whole plant carbohydrates, with healthy whole sources of plant fats and plant proteins. When I ran that experiment 6 years ago, I noticed that my sleep improved. I no longer struggled with insomnia. My moods improved. My digestion improved. Hallelujah. I had amazing bowel movements. My skin cleared. I lost a little excess weight and I lost excess inflammation. I garnered greater self-confidence and self-acceptance. I learned how to get my dopamine from life and relationships and not just from food. I have learned so much and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's get into it. Number 1, eating a whole foods plant-based diet allows you to eat in abundance. This is the complete opposite of the message that I heard all throughout my teenage years and my 20s about restricting small portions on a standard Western diet. When you eat a whole foods plant-based diet, Restriction is not part of the equation. You get to eat in abundance until you are comfortably full and satisfied. That is because the food that you are eating is so high in fiber and water and nutrients that it fills up your stomach without weighing you down and without over-consuming the amount of energy that you need for the day. Whole plant foods are naturally lower in calories compared to packaged and processed foods, and they're also brimming with nutrition. You get to flood your body with nutrition, and you get to eat in accordance with your body's natural hunger and fullness mechanisms. When you're eating a standard Western diet and you're trying to achieve some kind of health or vitality or change your shape, you typically have to restrict small portions. Forcing yourself to eat under the hunger drive actually goes against our body's protective mechanisms to keep us well, to keep us healthy, and to keep us safe. Eating whole, unprocessed foods allows us to eat in abundance, to feel full and satisfied, and to be nourished at a cellular level. I struggled most of my life to understand why I had to eat small portions in order to be at a healthy shape, and why I couldn't eat until I was full, and I thought that there was something wrong with me or that I was broken in some way. But when I learned to eat the foods that God designed for us, whole natural plant foods, I am able to eat in abundance and maintain a healthy, natural shape that feels comfortable to me. It's changed my life. If you live somewhere where you have access to whole plant foods, then you're lucky. Let's eat in abundance and feel good and nourished. Number 2, eating more whole plant foods can actually reduce anxiety. A recent meta-analysis suggests that ultra-processed foods are associated with a 48% increase in anxiety symptoms. So when we frequently consume ultra-processed foods, we have a significantly higher risk of experiencing anxiety symptoms. I know for me that when I began to completely remove ultra-processed foods from my diet, I noticed a big decrease in my anxiety symptoms, and I was so excited about that. And that meant the world to me because I have struggled with anxious thinking ever since I was a child. And so I noticed a big difference between when I choose to eat ultra-processed foods and the level of anxiety that I experience, and when I eliminate them from my diet, I feel calmer, I'm able to regulate my emotions better, and I feel happier overall. It's also interesting to note that up to 90% of our body's serotonin is actually made in our gut. Serotonin is that feel-good chemical that is related to happiness and well-being. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that plays a vital role in various functions within our body, including our mood, digestion, sleep, and even wound healing. Serotonin greatly influences our stress response, our mood, level of fear that we're experiencing, addiction, breathing, and our body temperature. Seeing as ultra-processed foods are highly inflammatory, it makes sense that when we consume more of those highly inflammatory ultra-processed foods, our body's ability to produce serotonin is reduced. When we have a healthy, happy gut that is full of plant fiber and nutrients, our body is able to more easily produce serotonin to keep us happy and well. Number 3 might just be my favorite reason why eating more whole plant foods is so good for your body, and that is it will give you the best bowel movements you have ever had. I went through almost 2 years of being chronically constipated, and after removing gluten from my diet, I was periodically constipated for the next 10 to 15 years. So I know how it feels to not be able to eliminate. Our body's metabolic processes consist of nutrition and elimination. So when you cannot eliminate, all that food that is sitting stagnant in your body is just rotting and fermenting in your gut. One of my worst experiences was not being able to go for over a week. Can you even imagine the food that was just sitting in my gut, rotting, fermenting, causing so much pain, so much bloating? I remember feeling so depressed. All I wanted to do was to be able to go to the bathroom and do my business, but it wasn't happening. In order to have good bowel movements, we really need fiber. Fiber is only found in plant foods. There is no fiber in animal products, and there is no fiber in processed foods. A lot of processed packaged foods will advertise that they've added fiber to it, but it's not the same as fiber from whole plant foods. Fiber in our guts creates bulk, and when we drink plenty of water, which fruit and vegetables are full of water, it creates this beautiful slippery dip effect for our stools to pass through our system easily and effortlessly. If you have trouble eliminating, I highly recommend eating more fibrous whole plant foods, and you will have the best bowel movements of your life, I guarantee it. So why not give it a try and enjoy feeling happier and lighter because of it? Number 4, eating more whole plant foods will clear your skin. I never had clear skin growing up. As a teenager, I didn't have chronic acne, but I always had some kind of little pimple farm going on my face somewhere, and it made me very self-conscious, of course, especially at that tender time in your life. And I tried to cover it up with makeup, which never worked. And so I would resort to using very harsh chemical face washes to remove the pimples, not understanding that the inflammation was coming from within my body and presenting itself on my skin. Our skin is the largest organ in our body, and it's often the last place to receive nutrients. And so it is the first place where things like inflammation and dehydration show up. And so I didn't realize that the diet I was eating, ultra-processed foods and animal products, were greatly contributing to my very less than clear skin. And it really wasn't until trying a vegan, more whole foods, plant-based diet 6 years ago that I really saw a difference in my skin. I was able to experience consistently clear skin, which was definitely a new thing for me. Whole plant foods are full of vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients, and living enzymes. All these things will make your skin glow from the inside out. When you are nourished at a cellular level, it will show through your skin. Why not give it a try and drink more water throughout the day, and you will see a difference in your skin. I do not use expensive products or creams or lotions or treatments. I just eat a whole foods plant-based diet and drink plenty of water. Number 5 is that eating more whole plant foods will give you a greater sense of vitality. When we are nourished at a cellular level, we are flooding our body with nutrients, improving our energy, improving our moods, and best of all, protecting us from future autoimmune diseases and illness. Nothing in life is foolproof, but eating more whole plant foods is a little bit like natural health insurance. You're nourishing your cells, and you can have greater consistent health over a longer period of time. I so wish that I had known more about a whole foods plant-based diet when my children were babies, that time of life that really demands so much of you, both mentally and physically and emotionally. I think I would have been able to have more energy and more mental clarity and maybe a little bit more calm to my mind. But I'm so glad that I know it now, and it's truly changed so many things in my life for the better. And I know it can do the same for you. And number 6, eating more whole plant foods means that you do not have to read labels anymore, because whole plant foods are typically just one ingredient foods. An apple is an apple. Spinach is just spinach. Broccoli is just broccoli. There's no added ingredients. There's no processing. It's just whole plant foods the way God designed them for our bodies. Other minimally processed foods that I include in my diet are things like coconut aminos or tamari, the gluten-free soy sauce, or things like tofu. Other things that are packaged would be things like various beans, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. It removes the worry of, will I get sick if I eat this? Will this hurt me if I eat this? Because it's just one ingredient foods for the most part. And that frees up a lot of mental real estate to be able to put to other important things in your life that doesn't include having to read labels all the time. I have lots of delicious recipes and meal ideas to help you eat a more whole foods plant-based diet, because I feed them to my children and I want them to enjoy it. And my husband is quite the foodie, so I try really hard to make it taste good. So I will share more of those here as well. I hope that that list inspired you to give eating more whole plant foods a go. You have nothing to lose. Run an experiment and see how you feel. On this channel, I'm going to talk more about how to nourish your body on a plant-based diet. I will also share how I overcame my crazy dependence on refined sugar. This is coming from a woman who's eaten chocolate out of a rubbish bin. There's absolutely nothing magical or special about me, so if I can do it, you can do it. I'll also share my personal experience and tools that I've learned about how to overcome binge eating or a binge restrict eating cycle, which I struggled with for many years on and off. I also love talking about the science behind refined food addiction and the neurological processes that take place in our brains when we consume ultra-processed foods and other addictive substances that hijack our body's nervous system and work against our natural mechanisms, leading to self-destructive behavior. I have personally experienced a lot of self-destructive behavior in my life when it comes to food and diet, and I've been able to overcome so much of it. And I am excited to share it with you in hopes that it will help you if that's something that you struggle with. We'll also talk more about the importance of mindset, habits, and the importance of healthy self-love and acceptance. It's all gluten-free, it's all plant-based, and it's all here to help you become a healthier, happier, and more vibrant version of yourself so that you can have the energy, the vitality, and the confidence to share your amazing gifts and talents with the world and fulfill your specific purpose. You were put here to succeed. You are an overcomer. You are stronger than you think. I truly believe that we are all capable of amazing things, and improving our health and well-being is really just the gateway into what is possible. If you are in pain or you are suffering and you need more help, please reach out. My details are below. I would love to help you on this journey. And I truly, truly wish you health and happiness and healing. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you got something out of it. And I wish you a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye. And they are also brimming with